Okay, hi. We just finished training, so if the mats look super shiny, that's why. The guys just mopped them. And if you can smell through your camera, if you're lucky enough to be able to smell through your mobile device, it smells beautifully of pine disinfectant, which kind of reminds me of school, which isn't too cool. But I'm just going to deal really quickly today with a little bit of pre and post training nutrition. Special request from Peter, who just left training and said that he only eats potato waffles, so I can definitely do better than that. So if you find that you're sluggish during training, if you find that you've no energy, if you find that you're not recovering well and you're quite sore the next day, this might be able to help you. I'm going to couch this in a really important, with an important kind of backdrop, and that's that I'm not a nutritionist, but what I have done is spoken to a lot of nutritionists over the years, and this is what I picked up, and it's really simple. So this is what I teach to younger guys who are coming in, sort of starting to eat around training instead of eating for pleasure, or eating what their mas gave them for the first time, and anybody preparing their own food for the first time. This is usually what the little talk I kind of give them, and it's all based around this timeline. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a big, long, straight line, and we're going to add some things into that. So directly in the middle, we're going to assume a 1 hour training session. And this is 1 hour. So this is our timeline here. We're training for the hour here. So we're going to assume that in 99% of the cases you're not eating during that. So the only thing you're really going to have in here is probably water. Okay, maybe a sports. Like something isotonic or what have you. Okay? And that's just about right. So within that 1 hour training, there's no food going in. Okay? So nobody's stopping and having a spaghetti bolognese in the middle of rolling. So what we're going to do is we're going to do two other little things, which is just about here and just about here, and equally on the other side. And we're just going to extend this slightly out just so it's a bit clearer. And this is 30 minutes prior and 30 minutes post. So 30 minutes pre-training and 30 minutes after. So the next one is actually, and my proportions are a little off today, and it's 90 minutes to 2 hours before. Post. Okay, so we've got our basically our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 time units. The one it's easiest to deal with, like I said, is the hour of training where you're not eating, where you're only really getting fluids in. And the other ones we're going to deal with are really quickly are 90 minutes prior and 30 minutes prior. So first, let's remember what the three fundamental macronutrients are, and that's protein. Ooh, stay that. Hey, carbs. And we're going to say we're going to use a catch-all term really, which is vits and mins, right? So, okay, and that's like the fundamental building blocks of any meal. So protein, piece of chicken, carbs, some pasta, add vits and mins. We're going to use as like a catch-all term for vegetables, okay, greens. So 90 minutes to 2 hours prior, that's what I'm having, and we're going to call that full meal. Now, when we say full meal, that doesn't mean we're loading ourselves up with massive amounts of food. You've got to eat to kind of your own preference. So one of the things that I say to everybody is diet is really, really individual. When I was about sort of 21, 22, I could eat like a massive meal. I could have eaten for days, even up to like 30 minutes before, and still train perfectly well for the hour. It probably wasn't optimal at the time, but it was no problem. Now I'm a little older, my digestion is slowed down. If I have food like even 2 hours before now, I feel a little bit stodgy and a little bit stuffed as I train. So now for me, for a 7 p.m. training session, I'm having dinner at about 4:30. So this is, I think, very individual and very down to your own preference and down to things like what you like to eat and how you like to eat and what have you. So it's a personal kind of thing. But what you'll notice is almost as a rule, is that we're drawing that line where there's no way that I'm eating 30 minutes prior. There's no way I'm having like a dinner and then rushing out to training. Now we can deal with that in a minute when you don't have time and stuff like that. In other words, when you're trying to catch a meal before you come training, so you've only got like limited time between work and coming to training. 30 minutes prior is gonna, what we're called the sugar zone. And 30 minutes prior, what we're not doing in the pre-training window is consuming anything approaching a full meal. And in particular, we're not going to consume things like protein shakes, that goes protein shakes, but also protein-heavy foods. So things like, for example, like say chicken or meat or anything like that. Even right down to stuff like protein bars and stuff like that. You're going to try and avoid those kind of things. And the reason for that is that protein takes quite a while to digest, anything from 45 minutes to like even 2 hours. And you've felt this if you've had like a large steak dinner. You know you're still full like 3 or 4 hours later. So you don't want to have that sitting in your belly digesting, because that takes energy. It draws blood to the digestive system, which means that you feel sluggish and tired in training, and sometimes you feel, I don't know why I feel this way tonight, and it could be because you have a large meal sitting in your stomach. So to allow food to digest, allow our full meal here that we spoke about here to digest, 90 minutes to 2 hours prior, you have that. 20 minutes prior, if you want, and there's situations where we don't do this, something sugary. And what we mean by sugary isn't necessarily like that we're going to be eating Mars bars and stuff like that. So something like a piece of fruit is ideal. Sports drink, something like that. Something to give your muscles plenty of glycogen and give you plenty of energy for the session. Okay, so that's pre-training. Post-training, it's going to be the same. So we're going to call this the sugar zone again. And that's a dangerous term because people are going to think, ooh, I get to eat what I want. But again, I'll explain that in a minute. Sugar zone directly afterwards. Sugar is going to help carry, the glycogen is a carrier of protein to the muscles. So that means that we have, or glucose I should say, is a carrier of protein to the muscles. We need to top up our muscles again after we've used them with what's called glycogen, or basically carbohydrate. And the simplest form of getting that in is in sugar. So in 30 minutes afterwards, that's what we're going to have. And then within 90 minutes to 2 hours post-training, we are having a full meal again. So we're having something approaching a full meal. And this is going to aid your recovery. So again, getting your protein, your carbs, and your bits and minerals in are going to aid your recovery and get you recovered a little bit faster for next day's training. Okay. Now, if that's clear enough, and hopefully it is, you're going to ask a few questions if you're sitting here at home right now. You're going to say, Barry, how am I going to eat 2 meals within this period of time? I come home from work at 4:30, I'm in the door in 5 minutes, I'm going to have to eat a massive meal, then I'm going to have to eat this, then I'm going to have to do. And the answer is, you can play with it a little bit. It's just a general rule of thumb. The first thing I would say is that anybody who's finishing work, let's say coming here training, this is the 7 p.m. session, you're training at 7 p.m., you just got off work at 6. You're not going to get a full meal in, right? So you've got to try and squeeze in where you can. So that's where things like shortcuts take place. So things like, for example, protein bars or snack bars and stuff like that as well. And often something is better than nothing. So even if it is slightly heavier in protein than you really want, it's better than coming in on an empty stomach. So the main problems that I see are people either overeating before training. So in other words, having a massive dinner and coming up here and digesting it while they're supposed to be trying to focus on other things, or not eating at all, and in other words being limp and almost dead. So to try and focus on this window, I think is really important for your training quality in here. Afterwards, if you find that you wake up tired and you wake up quite sore in the morning after, it can usually be this kind of 2 hour period afterwards. Okay. All right. Exceptions to the rule. Generally speaking, if I'm doing like jiu-jitsu session, I don't do it depleted. In other words, I don't do it on an empty stomach. Reason being, I want to focus, learn and enjoy. But that said, every now and again, if you're thinking about losing some of the jelly around the belly, coming in slightly emptier can be helpful. So in this case, you might perhaps skip your 30 minutes prior. Or you might even come in slightly under carbs from this meal. So in other words, remove or reduce your carbs down to something like this size. So look, carbs, they're hardly there. All right. And that can give you greater potential for losing body fat during training. All that being said, is that really when I want to lose body fat? Do I want to be depleted when somebody is like trying to armbar me, when I'm trying to learn a new choke and I want my full concentration? Probably not. So for me, I'm going to go for a walk when I'm depleted. I'm not going to come in here and I'm not going to do jiu-jitsu. So that would be my suggestion. The other thing is people say, man, look, I'm coming home here for 9:30. I'm not going to eat a full meal. I can't stomach a full meal before bed. And that's natural too. So what you're going to do in that case is just have something that resembles it. So a snack or something like that. I've got so many weird eaters here, and people do talk to me about how strange their diet is. So apart from Peter, not to bring him up again and tell me that he lives essentially on bird's eye potato waffles. I've got other guys who eat crackers and cheese, and that's all they eat. I remember having a nutritionist in here dealing with a guy before, and his recommendation was that the guy just eat some pizza. And it was a bizarre thing because the guy was eating about probably 800, 900 calories a day. So to get him in any sort of shape to eat at all, he was like, eat your favorite food as much as you want. So some strange stuff as well. So diet is really personal, nutrition is really personal. For me, I still have the diet of that I had when I was like probably 13 or 14. I come home and I eat fig rolls all day, and then occasionally I clean my diet up when I want to train hard. So I'm not one to lecture, but if this helps you, I'm really happy. If not, guys, and if you think that it needs some clarification, if you've got other ideas on what your diet should look like or what post and pre and post training nutrition should look like, I'm very interested to hear them because, as I said, and I should probably put it in large bold categories, I am not a nutritionist. But that said, and here's another little secret, a lot of people who claim to be nutritionists aren't really nutritionists either. So I guess I'm as good as anybody in those regards. What I would say the other thing about is just with regard to hydration and keeping yourself hydrated during training is all well and good. Hey, go get a drink of water during. But if you're not hydrated in this window beforehand, you're really kind of playing catch up. So you should be plenty hydrated. Everybody's seen the P test and what your urine should look like. You've probably been in any public gym. You've probably seen that kind of thing. Make sure that you have sort of a lot of clear wee-wees during the day, rather than trying to suddenly come in and like smash a litre of water down you during training, which is most of the time just going to sit in your gut too. Okay, I hope that helps. One man on his whiteboard here. If you have any questions, anything like that, comment. Don't forget to follow the video, follow the YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys at training.